Once again, I'd like to reiterate my thanks for the legal team, Mr. Conley and his assistant, Mr. Canero, did an outstanding job. Once again, having two hands tied behind their back. I mean, going into this trial, we already had to admit to the liability, not because we admitted to it, but because the previous solicitor's office didn't answer the complaint, which is a standard procedure in a legal matter. All my years in the council, the one common denominator that I've seen on the tough cases we've had many tough cases, and that common denominator is a good legal team. You need a good legal team to fight these issues because we get bombarded every day with some kind of arbitration, some kind of lawsuit, some kind of legal issue that we have to deal with. A lot of them are frivolous because many people think towns, municipalities are cash cows and they're going to come cash in on us, which they've almost done on two occasions here just by neglect on behalf of the previous legal team. And that would have been very damaging to the taxpayer, very damaging. And this victory really goes to the taxpayer. Unfortunately, there is a victim in this, and she didn't unfortunately prevail, at least with the town. But at least it brought to light some serious issues that need to be dealt with, not only in Johnston, but other communities in the state. I'd like to commend the legal team, the mayor, the council. We've always been up to date on this. Up to last week, we had another update, and we had our fingers crossed because we knew the potential that it would have been devastating. But I'd like to thank Mr. Conley once again, the mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to also introduce Vice President of the Johnston Town Council, as Vice President Council Stephanie Yancey.
Well, at the risk of saying some of the things that have already been said, first of all, our hearts do go out to the victim who did suffer through these incidents, and the school system in Johnston is taking many steps towards working against bullying. They are holding seminars, they have task force in places, because we want to make sure that all of our children are protected. As parents, as elected officials, it's our jobs to make sure that we're teaching our kids as well as providing good examples. So the example starts at home with all of us. As Council President Russo said, people tend to think that communities have deep pockets, that the town can pay out these large sums. We know that's not the case. It's not the case anywhere. And we do get criticized for bringing in legal counsel to fight these battles, but if we didn't have a good legal team, we'd be looking at a $5 million judgment bond. So again, thank you to our legal team. Thank you for the mayor for supporting us and keeping us informed of what's going on.
Thank you very much. And finally, I would like to introduce a councilman from District 2, Councilman Pedicelli. Please.
Do you think Councilman Pedicelli ever has anything to say of importance? But anyway, thank you, Mr. Conley. Thank you for what you've done for the town of Johnston. When they talk about bullying in the town of Johnston, I was bullied right at that doorway by the former mayor. Go read the papers. And I didn't follow suit and claim a suit against the town of Johnston. So the bullying started right there in that office next door. I was physically attacked. The plaintiffs filed a suit on September 1st, 2005. And if the reporters do their homework, they'll notice, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to insult you, but on the 15th of June, 2003, that clock was taken down at the town hall. And you read, when Mayor Policina came into office, found a $9.1 million deficit from 2003 to 2007. I've been on the council, it's 10 years right now. I'm happy with the last 4. He's a demanding son of a gun, but he's doing his job. And he takes all of us, the council, we are part of the team when he's saying, before you could not get an answer in this town. So when the people say you're talking about a prior administration, fine. That's the one that gave us this $5 million worth of problems. And hopefully, Mr. Conley, we don't find any more that we have to defend on behalf of a prior administration. So I want to thank him. I want to thank you, Mayor, for your leadership. And serving with my 2 colleagues on the council, it seems like we are a council. We agree and we disagree. But we know what's happening in the town of Johnston before we read about it in the Providence Journal or any newspaper. Just taking my cracks, and I'm pretty good at that. But I'm happy now that the town of Johnston and the people of this town have been saved approximately $5 million, and I will continue to work for the town of Johnston, and hopefully the people are not as bad as they some people think they are in the town of Johnston, because they did make the right move last November. Because do you believe that this thing would have hit the courts with Mr. Conley as our attorney if we had another mayor in the town of Johnston today who was only looking to upraise his pensions? Thank you.
As I said, just in closing, and I know you probably have some questions, some of the legal issues Billy Conley will obviously answer, and Deidre, because I'm not an attorney, but as I said, I can't thank them enough, both of them, from the bottom of my heart and from our wallets, because it would have been one hell of a hit on the taxpayers of this town. And as I said before, I have to chuckle, every 2 years is silly season, when they start, when the opponents, no matter who they are, say, well, look at the legal bills. When you read the complaint, you're going to see why some of the legal bills were so hefty, because, those people that were doing all the complaining, they had their family members involved, and that's why we had to defend the town. It's a situation where, after a while you throw your arms up in the air. Councilman Russo's extremely right. Everyone thinks the town's a cash cow. We're not a cash cow. We're not here to give out money. This money that we receive from the taxpayers is hard-earned money from the taxpayers. And we obviously operate the town the way it should be. We don't just, we could have, I'm sure we could have just said, oh, okay. There was no way. We had to fight this. Speaking with the council, they were my inspiration also. They said, fight. Where are we going to get the money? And I said, you're correct. So it worked out well, I think, for everyone. And once again, our sympathy goes out to the victim, and I say shame on those who bullied her. Any questions for Mr. Conley?
As to Amanda Cipriano, the court found damages in the amount of $25,000 plus interest. As to Brianna Bianchi, Heather Spiva, and Victoria Cipriano, $55,000 plus interest. And another count as to Victoria Cipriano and Heather Spiva, $7,500 in interest. And another count as to Brianna Bianchi, $15,000 plus interest. As to those who, because there are multiple defendants, she found that the defendants were joint and severally liable, which means that each is responsible for all the damages involved. So those were the court's findings yesterday as to damages.